City Matters.
Welcome back here to HMTV and the Fog of War and Humanity. Your host, Richard Acritelli. To my left is Angel Flores, a Marine with an unbelievable story, a local kid from Queens who saw the smoke from the World Trade Center, who grew up going into the city and was there right before the 9/11 attacks. We were just speaking about your time registering and taking care of and documenting prisoners of war. Now, when you look at that experience, it's just such a rare experience itself, right? You ever come across any other people that did that type of job?
Other than the guys I served with, no, not really. And I'm sure I probably have, and they probably just don't speak about it. Honestly, it's not something that comes up in regular conversation.
It's not something that.
Yeah, it's not definitely not something I highlight for the most part.
Is that a tough thing not to speak about, or you kind of got used to it?
I think with time you just get used to it. It just becomes part of the way it is.
Do you talk to some of your comrades that were over there? You guys catch up with each other?
Well, I am very lucky that New York is very small, and that the Marine population in New York is even smaller compared to the rest of the states. And we do get together. We get together once a year. Actually, at McSwirly's. For the Marine Corps birthday.
Good for you, yeah.
And we do that every year. And we do that actually through Savages of New York, which is another nonprofit that I'm a part of.
So how many Marines will usually, when you guys have this gathering together, how many will you expect to see?
At least 200.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, McSwirly's yearly hosts us graciously.
And that's just a good, you got to look forward to.
Oh, yeah, every year. Yeah, it's a big thing.
And does that help you in terms of,
It does, because whenever we get groups like that, we may not say it as a big group and stuff like that, but we'll get one-on-one with another guy, and we'll be able to talk about things that we don't normally talk to our families with. You'll be married and you say your wife is your best friend, but your wife doesn't know everything. There's things that you just can't tell her.
And she has no idea of your experiences.
She may have an idea, but she doesn't know the deep gritty. And you can't talk to your family the way you talk to someone that was there, whether they were there at the same time you were, or they were there 30 years before you.
And you can let your guard down a little bit as well. Right?
Correct. And it's probably the best therapy that we got.
They understand where you come from. You understand where they come from, right? It's
exactly.
Just it's really brothers in arms, right? It doesn't matter what generation, what decade, what war, what conflict, right? There's a little bit of an understanding, right, that keeps everyone tied together. So, all right, so you're in Iraq. How long are you there for?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half. Does the time go by fast, or does
everything blurs?
Wow.
When I was there, I'm sure it felt long and took forever. But now I look at it and it feels like it's a blimp.
Wow. Now, did you just stay in that one area, or did you go to other spots?
No. I was in Nassau the whole time.
Did you kind of know the civilian population a little bit? Did you have an idea?
We would go out in town and stuff like that. We knew the civilian population for the main part. They understood that we were Marines by the way we rolled our sleeves. So we did get different treatment than the other branches. They 100% respected us. I don't think we really had any real issues when it came to the regular population, outside like insurgents and stuff like that.
Was that a big town, big city, or was that?
I would probably compare it to Manhattan, honestly. At least it felt like about the size of Manhattan.
That area was that big, huh?
Yeah, but that's the feeling. I could be wrong. We could look at a map and check.
Wow. Well, it's that's pretty interesting though. Now, what were they known for in that? Was it oil on the outskirts? Was it big?
From what I remember, it was just the fact that it was the quickest way to get to Baghdad, and you had to cross the rivers to get through Nasiriyah.
So you were at almost a cradle of civilization there between the Tigris and Euphrates.
Correct.
What do you remember from those rivers?
I remember passing them. That's it. I wasn't close to them at all.
Were they were pretty big though in terms of their size?
I think honestly we just focused on getting across that bridge.
Yeah,
we weren't measuring.
Yeah, you weren't there for a sightseeing tour.
Yeah, we knew the bridge was coming. We knew we had to get across, and that's all that mattered. We made it to the other side, and we were happy. That's it.
Would insurgents fight you near those areas? Would they attack you guys? Would they?
I'm lucky that when we went through, we didn't have any issues. I'm sure the guys that pulled in right before us definitely had issues because the roads were messed up.
Wow. Now, when you were up there, was there ever any time where you had more prisoners or it slowed down, or did you have like a little bit of a prison that was located there? What?
Well, the prison was located in their old boot camp.
Okay, in the old barracks there.
Yeah.
Right?
The flow was pretty much the same, I would say, for the most part. It never really slowed down.
Did you ever come across any of Saddam's like inner circle or any high-ranking officials?
We had a few, yes.
Because I remember it was the playing cards, right?
Correct.
Right. Certain cards were higher officials, right?
We never had anybody on the playing cards, but we had a few people that were up there that were of interest.
Were you in country there when Saddam was caught?
No, I was already back in the States.
You were already back. What did you think when that occurred?
I'm just surprised it took so long, honestly.
And they caught him in a hole,
Yeah.
right? And then they built a military base, I think, around that hole and stuff, right?
Back in his hometown, I believe, right?
Yeah, and I think his words were, "I'm ready to negotiate now," you know? And young American guys with the big grins on their face, right? It's unbelievable. Now, when you guys had because tomorrow's Thanksgiving,
correct?
When you had holidays over there, what were the holidays like for you over there?
They were good. I think they were good because we would look for the French. I believe the French were out there, so we got a little bit of their wine. Yeah.
So you had the French military there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that. I ran into Polish military out there also.
What were those guys like?
They were funny. They were all funny. Everybody else, they didn't worry that much, I guess, because they were around us, honestly, to tell you the truth. So they felt safe when they were around us.
They felt a little more secure, right? And what about the French? Was there a camaraderie there?
Oh, yeah. There was a camaraderie for everybody that was out there, yeah.
Did you come across any other groups there?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Now, Thanksgiving, did they come across with any turkey for you guys or anything like that? Any trimmings or?
Well, actually, what we ended up doing was getting a lamb off the side of the road.
So you got a lamb, all right?
Taking it to the Puerto Ricans. Okay. And they actually chopped it up and cooked it for us.
How was it? It
was good.
That's pretty neat there, you know?
The command didn't know, but at this point, I don't think they could do anything about it.
Yeah. Unlucky lamb, you know? So, but it was probably a nice meal, right?
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
And those guys knew what they were doing.
Oh,
right?
yeah. The biggest problem was getting it past the Air Force because the Air Force was at the gate. Yeah.
And what they said? You can't take it.
They wanted to check the vehicle, and we just said that's not happening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Air Force telling Marines what to do is never going to happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and you get a little of that rivalry, right?
Yeah, but it's still brotherhood.
Yeah. But you get a little smile on your face because they did things their way.
Yeah.
You guys did things your own way, right?
Correct.
And so now you're there for a year and a half. You're doing just about the same job, right?
Correct.
Did you ever have any attacks in that area? Did you ever have any?
I think we had one large scale, I would say, scare. It was a giant protest that was coming towards the camp. That we all got put on alert, which probably lasted for about 6-7 hours. Okay. But nothing ever came of it.
What was the alert? Just stay on the base, or
be aware. We were there was the fear of that they might try to come into the base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there ever any abductions of American soldiers or anything like that? Where
the convoy that got IED'd was around the same time I was there. They were actually taken to the same hospital that we would go to take the prisoners whenever they were injured. That happened around the same time. Wow. Was any direct between us and them? No, not really.
You ever have any friction with the prisoners? You ever, did they ever try to break out or do anything where?
A few tried, but dominance was initiated from day one, and it was understood.
They kind of understood where they were at.
Yeah, and just do what you're told, and you're treated great.
Yeah,
they ate better than we did sometimes.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah,
it's well, I guess the Geneva Convention, right, is that the soldiers had to have almost the same food.
Oh, they had it better than us. They ate 3 times a day. I was lucky if I actually got a meal in.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not that we weren't provided the meals. It's just that you're doing your job.
You're busy.
So
you're on your feet.
Yeah.
You're moving all the time, right? And you're
correct.
And it's like a sense of purpose, right?
Yeah.
All right, so now you're there. When do you find out that you're coming home for good?
I don't even remember that day, honestly. I just remember getting on the plane.
And just say, I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah. I think we stopped counting days because since we were one of the first ones, we really didn't know. And we were supposed to be relieved a few times, which never stuck.
And that's that's got to be a rough feeling, right?
Well, we understood also too. You know, Baghdad was the main issue.
Sure.
You know, so we were further back. So it would make sense that if they got to go forward, they got to go forward.
Did you ever go to Baghdad? Did you ever?
No. Thankfully, I was lucky enough to avoid that. Yeah.
Wow.
I think I would have a very different.
Fallujah or anything like that?
Lucky right.
That was
that
a
also
tough.
Too. There was guys in my unit that did go up there, and they have a completely different perspective of Iraq than I do.
Okay. So now you come home. What's the first thing that you do? Do you come back here to Rosedale or?
Actually, no. When I was in Iraq, me and my friend Mike Scana, he was watching. Saw some video and he saw some video of Ibiza, so we actually booked tickets to Ibiza in Iraq before we even came home, and I think we were home for 3 days.
What is that?
Ibiza, the country.
Say that again.
Ibiza.
Where is that near there?
It's the party capital of the world. It's clubs 24/7 back then.
Really?
Yeah, it's in Europe. Yeah.
Ibiza.
Yeah, so I think we were in the U.S. for 3 days before we flew back out.
Jeez.
We knew
nice to be young, right?
Yeah, well, we knew we were screwed up, and it's something that we didn't want to put on our family.
Yeah.
So we was like, let's just take a vacation as soon as we get back, get it out over there, and then come back home and then deal with the family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now you come home. Now what do you end up doing?
What was I doing back? Oh, I was working for North American Airlines actually back then. So I was so after I come home, I'm flying.
Yeah, because you're a reservist, so you come home, right? You come home. How much active time duty do you have to do when you come home, or you just that's it? You're able to.
Well, I was lucky. The recruiter that recruited me, one thing he pointed out to me right away as a reservist, something called ADSW. So I actually did a lot of active duty. I did more active duty than I did reserve time.
Okay.
I've been based in Fuji, Norway, all over the States. Whenever there was active duty orders I could pick up, I would.
Wow. So you've seen some interesting things then, right?
Yeah, I had a pretty great career, I believe. Okay. I feel I did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. A lot of great experiences, right?
But yeah, when I got back home, I was working for North American Airlines, so I was actually flying the troops back and forth.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so North American Airlines was a charter airline, and 78% of the contracts was military.
What was your job for them?
Easiest way to explain it is a flight attendant, a stewardess.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're seeing these guys kind of come and go?
Yeah,
and
so then I come back, then I'm flying the guys back and forth.
And in the back of your mind, you kind of
which was
very strong
cool,
understanding.
Cool, because the guys going over for the first time, I could talk to them, and then they knew I was there, so it made them feel good that they're coming home. And then the guys that coming back, they were great. They were happy to see me, and then I could, you could see the one guy that had it harder than the other guy.
Sure.
And you could tell him like, look, there's things out there to talk about. There's places you go, there's groups that you could meet.
And you did that before you went in the Marine Corps?
No, I did that while I was in the Marine Corps. So I started working for North American Airlines in, I believe it was, did I get out in 2007? Time's blurred. So 2003. So it was probably around 2007 I started with North American Airlines, I believe.
And how did they treat you being a veteran? Were they
great,
good to you?
Great. I probably got away with a few extra things I shouldn't have.
Well, all right. Now, are they still operational today?
Unfortunately, they went belly up.
They went belly up? Okay.
Yeah.
Were they tied to the government with a lot of, in terms of the flights and stuff like that?
They were private contracted. Pretty much if you had the money for a 747 or flight wherever you want. They did a lot of flights outside the military. They did the Obama flights. So they're the ones flying Obama during his campaign, Cheney, Bush.
So they were tied to the government.
Yeah.
All right. So now you're doing that. You're still doing your reserve duty as well?
Correct.
What was it like to do the reserve duty compared to what you knew from Iraq and, going on, active duty orders?
After that, it was just skipping.
Yeah.
After that, like everything else is a cinch.
Yeah.
You understand why you train so hard. So it's not annoying. It has a purpose.
Would you ever tell like the younger Marines that were coming in that you kind of thought maybe they weren't taking it seriously? Hey, listen, you better learn this.
Funny with that is, I remember when I got back, they had me teach a class for guys that were going out in 2007. I had a bunch of guys grab quarters, flip them in the air. Heads, you're on the left. Tails on you're on the right. Heads, you're dead. Like, realize you joined the United States Marine Corps. It's a 50-50 chance whether you come home or not. Yeah. And I just wanted them to realize that at that point. So I was very direct, very honest.
Yeah, you had the severity of Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah. And
we
were kind of spread thin at that point too.
Life is not promised. And then remind them that even if you end up on that wrong side of the coin, you're the reason why the other side is still here. We're still one coin, but you're the reason why the other guy still comes home. Yeah. So you're just as important, even if unfortunately that's the outcome.
You ever have any Marines, when they come home, they thank you, I appreciate this advice, that, thank you for the support, or...
I think we all thank each other, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think one person is more important than another. I think we all...
No, but like you're an experienced guy. You're becoming an older guy. You're extending a hand to them. You're kind of like, even in your job, on the flights, you're kind of talking to them a little bit. You're trying to help them out,
I understand what you're saying, but I think it's an equal... Because even the guy that's probably only been in 6 months, I'm still thankful to him too, because it affirms what I did, So I think it's an equal amount of thankfulness that goes back and forth. They may be thanking me for the stories and the experience I've given them, but I'll be thanking them for something just as equally as strong, I believe.
You never know. You might have some of those guys that you never saw again.
Yeah.
And years down the road, they're saying, I had this guy, he was a Marine, he was a veteran, he did all these different things, and he kind of calmed me down as I was going over there.
Oh, yeah.
He talked to me a little bit.
Yeah, no, I've gotten that, especially on the flights when I was working for the airlines.
A little something goes along.
Oh, yeah.
Like a little kindness, right? Yeah. It doesn't pay anything to be kind, right?
Sometimes just a pat on the back is enough. It's just to you'll pat somebody on the back when their mind's somewhere else, and that just brings them right back, and they realize where they're at.
Do you see that today? That veterans are either getting more support or less support. What's your feeling with that?
I feel that within ourselves, we're doing a lot more. Unfortunately, the way the system's set up, I hate politics, but politics gets in the way all the time, I believe.
It always gets in the way.
Yeah.
And it's a lot different than during and after 9/11, where...
Yeah, and everybody has an idea, and everybody wants to do it their way versus just, why don't you listen to the guys that have been there?
Yeah. You just saw with the government shutdown, both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Didn't make either one of those guys look good, No. So, but you, compared to the veterans years ago, right? We'll just say World War II, Korea, Vietnam.
Oh, the huge difference is all the nonprofits and all these groups that want to do good.
There was virtually nothing for those guys outside of the VFW or American Legion, right? It was...
Yeah. Well, I was telling you before, like, I'll talk to a lot of these Vietnam vets, and they weren't allowed to say anything when they first came back. They had to deny it when applying for a job. They had to deny it for almost everything.
Yeah, if they had a short haircut.
Yeah, right? No, they would grow it out on purpose just to avoid...
People said, well, you were in the military.
Yeah.
Right? And it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, it shouldn't be that way at all.
Yeah.
The Suffolk County chapter of Vietnam veterans, Richie Kitson, he just, when he came home, there was like nothing there. No jobs, no veteran support. And he just said, it was like, we supported our country. We didn't pick this war, it picked us,
Correct.
And there wasn't much there. And then he lost his brother. And then we have one of the first podcasts, Mel Cohen. He was the head of the Jewish war vets, and he's part of the Vietnam war vets. He lost his brother. Oh. And those guys were Levittown guys.
Yeah.
So you have like 3 or 4 high schools in Levittown.
Yeah.
Huge area in Nassau County. Total World War II community, GI Bill community,
huge.
Right? Because the houses just blew up there. And they both had family members that were lost as a result of the war, and those guys are like brothers today. And they do so much for like the veterans and just making sure that there's some sort of care and support and, effort where they didn't receive anything, And do you come across that with a lot of the older guys? They tell you that?
I do. A lot of the old guys, their biggest fear is particularly with the VFW, which is, it's sad, the recruitment when it comes to the younger guys. So a lot of these other nonprofits I'm part of, like you're going to talk to Sean coming up, Sail Ahead. We'll get guys to join that, but then we also mention the VFW, how important that is, because they're the ones that set the groundwork for these other nonprofits to exist today. And even if you're not a member of the VFW or the Legion, you should join regardless, because those numbers keep them alive.
Sure, and they'll always help you.
Yeah.
Those guys are very, very loyal. They're usually strong backgrounds within the community, and they'll do other things other than military in terms of helping the community and so on. But what you guys do is just, you come home, you give these guys a chance to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's the most important thing.
You were told, don't say a word. Right?
Yeah. That's the most important thing is being able to get out there and talk. And a lot of the older guys, they just now started talking now in this past decade. Before this, they weren't talking at all.
Do you do a little counseling? You'll talk to guys and try to get them to talk a little bit. Or
I've done a lot with that with the groups I'm part of. I've gotten a few guys that actually need to get into PTSD programs to actually commit to them and actually join. And
what's the greatest barrier that you see where guys kind of pull back a little bit from that?
The fear and the stigma that it's going to affect the rest of your life. Like once you join, that's it. Like you can't go law enforcement. You can't go fire department. Like they're afraid. Like once you touch that, all your civil servant jobs, possibilities are gone. But it's not true.
It's something, because mental health now is bigger than it's ever been.
Oh yeah.
But there's still that fear that if I open up too much,
it
could be held against me.
You're gonna get castrated.
Wow. So, are you seeing more, veterans itself coming out and talking a little bit more, and they're kind of sniffing around your programs and?
Yeah, I do see that. I do see more from when I first got involved to now. There's definitely a greater number. It's not enough, because we still have the 22 a day. 22,
yeah. We had that 22 across.
Yeah.
The kayak from Bridgeport, Connecticut to Port Jefferson.
Yes, I saw that.
And the commander of my VFW, Frank Lombardi, he does that. And then with Chad Lennon, who's a lieutenant colonel, Marine, just like yourself there. He grew up around here, and he's the county legislature out in Rocky Point, and they just walked from Orient Point to Hauppauge.
Oh wow!
Which is like unbelievable, just amazing, and they say the numbers are worse than 22 a day.
I believe.
That there's.
I know this past month we had 3 that we knew. Directly or indirectly somehow. I was actually going to a police department, fire department boxing event, and one of the guys that's a Marine that I served with in Iraq at the same time that was in the EPW prison with me, he couldn't box because he had to actually handle a suicide of a fellow police officer that was a Marine also.
Now, this is probably a dumb question, right? But how does it hit you when you hear this?
Oh, it hits all the same. Like it hits us deep. Like there's a immediate moment of silence that just you feel it. You feel the pain, because you understand the pain that they were going through right before they decided to take it that far.
And then there's that great sense of motivation to say, we got to cut these numbers down. We got to make more of a dent, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think the government fully understands this problem?
I think the government doesn't want to fully understand the problem.
Because then they got to admit that there's...
Yeah, and the government doesn't admit to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see that when veterans try to get...
Oh, I see when they get help.
When they try to get
my
support from the government.
My story getting to the PTS...
They push everything back.
My story getting to the PTS program was a whole different story. I had to jump through some hurdles for that. That was ridiculous and a joke.
All right, so we'll talk about that, okay? We're going to bring Sean in for an episode, and then we're going to bring you back, and you guys are going to kind of talk together about the programs that you guys are doing. And, I got to thank you for coming down here today, because this is very interesting. It's very important. You know, I'm glad to speak about it, but it's some very delicate items.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That doesn't go away. Right?
Never does.
Never goes away.
Never does.
I was at a class of 2005 reunion for my students, and one of my students, you know, he suffers from PTSD. Great kid, soft-spoken, you know, home, family, everything. And I asked him how he's doing. He goes, you know, it's still there. I was in Iraq at one of the worst times that you could be there. And, you know, it says I'm staying busy and I'm just trying to deal with it every day. And I'm, you know, very, very proud of him. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't, like you said, it just doesn't go away. So.
Yeah.
But, all right, so we're going to bring Angel back in a little bit here to HMTV in the Fog of War and Humanity. And please join us for the next upcoming episode.